Hello, we're going to make a video, and this video will demonstrate setting up and running a Jupyter Notebook session under an Anaconda 3 environment on the ECE HPC computer platform. The specific computer we'll be using will be ECE-HPC03.cc.lehigh.edu. Okay. Okay, so we're going to make an assumption that you've connected in with the X2Go client to the machine that you want to work on. And in our case, it'll be ECE HPC03. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this bold type. I'm going to actually come in and run this under my test ID. You would type in the ID that you got for the ECE HPC platform and use that password. Okay, so I have my ID and my password typed. And we should be connecting in. And there's the screen that it's coming up with. Now this gives me a full Linux desktop on the ECE HPC03 machine. So this is kind of like if I would be sitting at at the terminal, at the keyboard, and kind of like the screen you would get if you were sitting there. This is actually a little bit different. This is the mate desktop, but it's perfectly acceptable for what we want to do. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to open a terminal session. So I've set mine up on the desktop, but what we'll do here is we'll click on Application, we'll go to System Tools, and we're going to come down here, and I'm clicking on this one here that says Terminal. You can use the XFCE terminal if you wish, or you can use the mate terminal. I like the one here that says Terminal. That's the GNOME terminal. They're all pretty much the same, just a little bit of a difference in color and style. But okay, so I have a terminal, and I'm going to hold down my Control and my Shift key and hit the plus sign to make it bigger so that you can see what I'm typing a little bit easier. Excuse me. And additionally, I like the bigger text, easier to see. Okay, so first thing we have to do, since we're going to be using Anaconda, is we have to establish an Anaconda environment. So what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to bring up my browser on my on my local desktop. You could do this with a browser. So I'm bringing up a browser on my local desktop. You could do this with a browser up here on the ECE HPC03 machine if you wanted to, but whenever possible, I like to use the browser that's on wrong browser. There we go. I like to use the browser that is on my local desktop. Okay, there it is. That's the one I want. Cute little cat there. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to go to the ECE Teaching Lab website, and the way we'll do that is we'll type http://ECE Teaching Labs.cc.lehigh.edu, and we'll hit enter. And then if we go over here to documentation, and if we come down here under documentation to Anaconda 3, and we'll click Setup to run Anaconda 3 on the HPC platform. Okay, so there's a video here that tells you how to get set up down here at the bottom, but all we really need to do for this video is we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy this line here that says source, and then there's a directory to a file name. We're going to copy that line. I'm going to drag the browser off, and I'm going to set my focus on the terminal session. So I did a click on the terminal here, and you can do a right click and paste, or you can click edit, paste, and that's going to put that line in that we just copied. And so then we hit enter, and you'll know that this worked if you see the word base come up. Excuse me. If you see the word base come up, you know that we have successfully entered the Anaconda base environment. Now that we've entered the Anaconda base environment, the next thing that we want to do is we want to start the Jupyter notebook. And basically we're going to start a Jupyter server. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to type Jupyter. Okay, and notebook. And we're going to actually, we've got some ports open. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually specify a port number here. Okay, so port equals, and you can, for this example, we're going to use 8889 on this particular machine at the moment. Today, December 29th, 2020, there aren't many people using this machine with Jupyter, so you can pretty well get away using any of the open ports. So we're going to use 8889. And we're going to hit enter. And what that did was that fired up the Jupyter notebook. And then you can, and this browser is actually running up on the excuse me, ECE HPC03 machine. And you can go ahead and do your Jupyter work. Okay? So that's how you can get started using Jupyter. When you're all done, go ahead and close the browser. And then when you get back into the, come back to the terminal prompt and hit Control-C, and just make sure that what you'll want to do is then hit yes to shut the notebook server down. And I think I hit too many yeses, so I confused it. I hit YY, so it didn't understand that I typed yes. Okay, there we go. And that's shut down. It's always nice when you're done to exit out and gracefully log off. That prevents things from getting hung, which occasionally can happen. And then, so if I go ahead and if I log out, that'll bring me back to the ECE X2Go session on my desktop. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and thanks for listening. Any questions? Don't hesitate to contact me.